Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Real Talk. And tonight we're going to be diving into a fun movie. But some people don't think so. Some people do think so. So it's going to be very interesting to dive into tonight's feature, which is American Werewolf in Paris. But before we get into that, thank you for tuning in on 92.5 WLSD The Vault. Tune in on WLSDradio.com, or you can join on any of the social medias. That's the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, or Instagram, The Other People Show. Join tonight with me, Jeremiah, David. Thank you all once again for coming onto the show tonight.
It's good to be here, man.
Sure is.
And it was funny how we originally came to the decision of tonight's movie. Now, typically, and it's been for no other reason, but sometimes we'll put out a message to the audience. Like last week, they gave us kind of a genre, and we kind of went with that. Sometimes I'll kind of come up with something. I think like in the past, like Jeremiah, myself, Amber and Lana, we've come up with like, hey, let's go watch this movie and review that.
Yeah.
We've done that with Twisters, Maxine, and a few movies like that. But tonight, this movie, I'd suggested one to you all both. And had you all seen the other one? The other movie?
I hadn't seen the other
Had you
one.
heard of it before?
I'd heard of it, yeah.
You didn't like it?
Nah.
Okay.
No, it wasn't very good at all.
Okay. So I'd suggested that one, but David happened to be, you were in the middle of watching this one, right?
yeah, just going back and watching it because we're about to enter spooky season.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd paused on it earlier on like Amazon or something, and I was like, I might watch this. But when David had responded that he was watching it, I think I'd messaged Jeremiah and said, what about this one?
Yeah.
And so we decided on American Werewolf in Paris. Now, I thought that I had actually seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
But about 1 minute in, I was like, I haven't seen this. And I thought that I'd seen the original. Well, the first one, which is... There's a tie-in with the first one to this one. But it's only through one character, and I can't remember which character because he's not in this movie very much at all. I think the only connecting character is the opening scene where there's like somebody in the drain.
All out of the drain.
Yeah, I think
doctor.
That's the character that's connected to the original one.
Her stepdad.
But I'd seen the movie called The Howling
stepdad.
instead.
Yeah.
So I'd seen neither one.
Okay.
But you all have a very fond, nostalgic
Yeah.
connection to this movie, and you all have seen it many times?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How many times
I
would you
lived by
say?
that movie whenever I was little.
Oh.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I went through a spell for probably about 3 years. I probably watched this movie about 4 or 5 times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
It was on repeat, dude. Anytime I went to his house, man, it was on.
Oh, yeah. Loved it.
That's cool. What are some other movies like that? Because when I was young, like sometimes my sisters had... Now, I would sometimes play movies constantly, but sometimes they would constantly have on like The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie.
Oh, yeah.
I always remember that being played on VHS.
That's a good one.
Or Deuce
Yeah.
Bigelow, Male Gigolo. That was
Oh,
always
man.
playing
No,
too.
that's another good one.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. That was one we played on repeat a lot, too.
Yeah. And but there's some kind of movies like that are just on repeat. So this
Yeah.
was one for you all as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you all don't know out there, it's about an American man unwittingly gets involved with a French werewolf who have developed a serum allowing them to transform at will. And when I read that synopsis, basically that's what the movie's about if you break it down to the bare
yeah.
bones.
It is.
But there's so many other little things that go on throughout the movie. And this was a fun one. It wasn't what I was expecting at all because
No, it'll definitely throw you off.
Well, I tagged you all in the poster, and there was a couple
Yeah.
of different posters. I like that one the
I
best.
do too. The
And that's
blue
the,
one.
that's the VHS cover one and the
Yeah.
second theatrical
It's
one.
nice.
But in my opinion, it gave the movie a very serious tone.
Sure.
Oh yeah, it does. It
But not
absolutely
the
does.
movie's not totally serious.
No, I mean starting out, yeah, it's gonna be pretty serious. But then like here, you got these dudes just cracking out all these jokes all of a sudden once it comes to the scene where they're on the train,
Yeah.
Yeah.
traveling to Paris. It's-
Yeah. And it reminded me of the opening. So we'll get to that in just a minute. So we have the director. His name is Anthony Waller, and this is the only movie of his that I've seen. He's done a couple more, but these were the only three that I'd heard of. Mute Witness, and the cover of that case is like, I think it's a woman's face with like her lips sewn together, and it says mute, or I think it says Mute Witness, the title around her lips. It's the very, I wish I could look it up over here, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Obviously, American Werewolf in Paris, and a movie called The Guilty in the year 2000, which I can't remember anything about it other than, hey, Aaron,
I'm not too sure about
other than
either
I've
of
heard of it. But the cast is a cast, and we were talking about them a little bit before the show started, is that you all had seen them older but didn't quite realize sometimes, oh, that's who that was. That's who that was. So this has Tom Everett Scott as Andy, Julie Delpy as, how do you pronounce her name? Seraphine. Vince Valoof as Brad, Phil Buckman as Chris, and Julie Bowen as Amy. And for those of you that may not know Julie Bowen's name, she was also in Happy Gilmore? Is that what she's in? She's in one of those kind of movies. I think she's in Happy Gilmore. I think she's the female in Happy Gilmore as well. I'm pretty sure.
That's what
She is.
Isn't
She is. I just now realized that.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I
she
saw
is,
her, I didn't
yeah.
realize she was in it originally, and I was like, I've seen
She's
her.
the no-do-gooder.
Yeah, yeah. So this has a cast of characters you may not know their name right off. None of them are what I would say a household name.
Yeah.
You know, but you would know a lot of these faces. And what all had you seen the main dude from? Because you said had you recognized him or seen him in other things other than this?
Yeah, not till David showed me earlier, man. We've apparently seen a lot of stuff with Phil Buckman and Julie and Tom Everett, but
Yeah,
I can't
I've not
remember
really seen a
exactly
lot
right
with
off the
Tom
top
Everett
of my
Scott
head.
in it, but some of the honorable mentions that he has, for some people is like Air Buddies. Let's see here, what else was it? La La Land.
He was in that
Roast.
Tom Hanks movie, That Thing You Do. That's the first. This is the
Yeah.
interesting thing about Tom Everett Scott. This was only his second. This was his first leading role,
Oh yeah,
but only like his third movie. And I could tell in a couple of scenes that it seemed kind of like maybe first movie, but it also seemed to be in his character for the movie, the way his character would act.
oh yeah.
Because his character didn't seem to be quite as like, maybe crude as the two friends. Like the two friends were a little more
on edge.
Yeah,
It's
And,
funny that they're the ones that end up like, hey, dude, you don't have to go through with this when he goes to jump off the tower.
yeah.
Oh,
Now, when I was first watching it, I wasn't sure. Now, I had written. The funny thing was, I had written out the sheet before I'd watched the movie, and because I was just sitting there and I was like, okay, so I started the movie, but I don't like to. When I watch the movie, I want to focus just on the movie,
Yeah.
especially if I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
If I've seen it before, maybe, but usually I'll just completely watch it. But I wrote out the sheet so I knew a little bit of what was going to happen because I was like, well, obviously they're in Paris, and then I was reading about the Eiffel Tower, so I was like, oh, so I kind of gave it away myself. But they actually do get to go on the Eiffel Tower and film on there, which doesn't happen very often.
No.
Which was, for me, if I was an actor or actress, or just coming on and doing my third movie, I'd be like, I get to do a werewolf movie in Paris.
And
They're
get to
going to
go
pay
on
me.
Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, they're going
And he gets to kiss a really pretty girl.
Yeah, it'd be like a cool, fun movie, and then everything's paid for there. You got to eat for free.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, sure, sign me up. I'll
Yeah.
do that.
No doubt.
But he's been in a lot of things that I haven't seen, but he was in 6 episodes of Scream, the television series. I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
It's not bad.
Like La La Land, I'd heard of it, never watched it. Criminal Minds, I've watched that before. I've never watched his episode, but and you know Van Damme, right? Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh yeah.
Now he's actually in a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme in
Really?
2013. So,
Okay.
so he has been a working actor throughout all this time as well.
Oh, yeah.
But Tom Everett Scott had never been to Europe when he had made this movie, and he was saying, he hadn't left the country, so he was this was a brand new experience for him going in. So they went up to the Eiffel Tower at night. They would shut it down from like midnight to 6 a.m. and they would go up there and do production. So imagine you've got a crew, because it's not. I've never been there, but it doesn't look like you could fit a lot of crew up there.
No,
So you'd probably be the actor, the actresses and stuff, a handful of people, and then you can see the view of Paris, and you're up there for free making a movie when you're 26 years old.
So
Yeah,
they actually were on the
Yeah, they were on
Eiffel
Eiffel
Tower.
Tower.
Yeah,
wow, dude.
yeah. And so I was like, that would be such a cool memory and experience that
It would be.
even if the movie, even if the movie good or bad, just because the movie
cares,
turns out
dude?
one way, that
Yeah.
doesn't take away the way you felt making it. You could have the time of your life, and it could be a great movie. You could have the time of your life, and it could be a bad one. Or it could be like the worst conditions, but
A
turn out
good
to be a
actor.
masterpiece.
Yeah, a true
know?
actor wouldn't really care, man.
No,
They're just
no.
doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Like, if
Now-
you make it big, you do. If you don't, you don't.
Now, the actress, however, she said she mainly did this movie because they paid her a lot of money and it helped pay her rent, which is
Yeah.
noble as well. I mean, really, if you think about it, like if you're an actor and you're a struggling actor,
It's
and
like,
and you get a lot of good roles, but then you get this big Hollywood movie, which is what this one was, and they offer you $1 or $2 million. Even if you read over it and you're like, well, I mean, I don't know how she felt about it, but it could be anything. Like
Yeah,
if I'm sending you
absolutely.
a script and I'm going to pay you $1 million, but you're like, personally, I don't like it that much, but they're paying me $1 million. I'm going to do the best job I can do. They're paying me.
No kidding.
So-
It's,
But she said she'd only done one other Hollywood blockbuster, and she was in Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Mhm.
yeah, Madam B.
Yeah. So she went from 1997 until 2015, and had never had done another big Hollywood movie, only small movies. So she must have made a pretty good amount on this particular movie,
She had to.
because
Yeah.
sometimes smaller movies don't pay very well. And like if you're in my kind of smaller movie that I'm making, I can't pay anybody. Just ask Jeremiah.
it's
I
just,
I can't pay him
yeah.
anything.
It's just showing up.
And I mean, realistically, for a
it'll be
Hollywood
good
movie, it
one
wasn't.
day.
It really wasn't that big. It didn't really have a lot of room to work with.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm wondering if how much they had to pay to like film there. I wonder if how much, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like-
Dude,
Because they did
yeah.
film
Like to
also
shut
on
that
the Empire
tower
State. Wait,
down.
was it Empire State Building, or is that where they were? Or Statue of
Eiffel
Liberty?
Tower.
At the end of it.
Oh, at the end of it, it was a Statue
Statue
of
of
Liberty.
Liberty.
They jumped off
Yeah,
of it.
So I don't know if
Yeah.
they really filmed there. I can't. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know Eiffel Tower, but it did. None of the research I found said that they shot at the Statue of Liberty. So I don't assume that they did, because I
Probably
couldn't
not.
find any research. And there's usually about 4 places I go for research, and they've all been pretty spot on so far. So we're not saying they didn't film there, but we're
Yeah.
not saying they did, because we don't know for sure.
Ain't it pretty
I mean,
cool
the
though?
setting
How
at the end was definitely at the Statue of Liberty.
Aaron Lee was also bringing up that Tom Everett Scott is in Dead Man on Campus.
Dead Man on Campus.
Have you ever watched that movie? I've only seen part of it, but
I
it's
don't think I have.
I haven't. I
that
haven't
might
watched
be
that
one to do in the
have to,
future. It's about. I totally forgot about it. He did that movie right after this one, and it was another like funny movie with. Have you ever watched the old school Saved by the Bell?
Yeah.
So Zach Morris, the guy that plays
yeah.
Zach, and Tom
Yeah,
Everett
yeah, yeah.
Scott, they're 2 college roommates who like to go out and party, and they get bad grades because of it. But they learn that there's a loophole, and it says if your roommate dies of suicide, you get A's the rest of the semester. So they I think they try to transfer in and get like a roommate and try to get him to commit suicide so they can get A's.
Yeah.
Wow. That's dark.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think that's the basic premise. I've
Let's
only
get
seen.
this dude to move in and bully him so we can get A's.
Yeah.
It's like we're tired of paying these dudes for doing our work and only getting us C's.
Yeah, actually, I'd totally forgotten about that because I've never seen all of it. I've only seen
Wow.
half of it. But Tom Everett
Ouch.
Scott was in that right after this movie as well.
Okay.
So this is another little fact. When Chris is shown tied to the cross and later shown running out of the church, still tied to the cross, was Phil Buckman's least favorite day of filming because he had bruises all over his back and arms. Can you imagine that
From
all day long?
falling like that, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a rough hit.
And it said, and you all didn't know this, and I hadn't seen the original, but the film is a sequel to American Werewolf in London that was released 16 years before this one.
Yeah, the 81 production.
That one I did look it up, and it is on Freevee, so it's free. So we might need to maybe watch that one time.
Cause see, I had no idea. Like, I knew that there was like the old school black and white American Werewolf in London.
I didn't know about the one in
like
81.
I think.
With the one in 80, what was it, 81?
Yeah.
I looked it up on IMDb, and it does have a 7.5 on IMDb, and it made $30 million in 1981 money.
Wow.
So
What? That's
so it
That's-
made more
that's
than
decent.
this one in 19. So probably 16 years later. So that'd probably be double, I would imagine. 16 years, so probably equal to about 50 or 60.
yeah.
So let's get into the movie a little bit. So what do y'all think about, you want to give the plot and the story in a little bit more in depth than I got into? So we know that some college buddies, they're going on a trip to Paris,
The Daredevil.
and
tour,
they're
they
doing
call it.
Daredevils. What are they
Yeah,
called?
The Daredevil,
Daredevil
tour.
tour.
Okay,
Where they're
okay.
just they basically got a point system set up where they're just going doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Hey, Amber. Amber's saying hello.
Hello.
Before we dive into
Hello,
that,
Amber.
now how did you all really, what drew you originally when you were little kids to this movie? Like, how did you learn
For
about
me,
it?
the very first transformation, man, when I seen, who was it? Was
it's,
it?
it's actually you see Seraphine transform.
Yeah, but it
the
was
first time.
actually
no,
Claude.
No, the very first transformation you see is well you'll
Her
you'll start,
telling
you'll
him
start
to run
see
away.
like Claude and like
Yeah.
his band of buddies.
in the club.
Yeah, you do like huddle around, getting ready to start to transform. But you see Seraphine in like the Ratways, like the Warrens, like the
The sewer.
tunnels. Yeah, and she, she starts to transform. That's the one where you get to see like full transformation, just in
Yeah.
just and
Her
it's
like
all- all
changing
its
from
detail,
human
yeah.
all the
All the way
to
through, all the
werewolf.
total
It was
transformation.
awesome.
So did this plot take you, like, what did you all think about, because basically he gets involved because he saves this girl from Seraphine.
Yeah,
from-
she's trying to commit suicide on the Eiffel Tower.
and he
Yeah.
jumps
Not
off
throwing-
because he's about to bungee jump
Yep.
Yeah,
off the Eiffel Tower. And what was kind of that was a kind of a funny gag as well, because as he's jumping and pretty much
He's
saving
not tied
her,
off.
he's not tied off,
Yeah,
and then
so
his
Chris and Brad got to jump on the
was that when Brad and Chris got on
Yeah.
there?
Well,
And-
they do it at the
yeah, it happens
end
at
of the
the
movie
end.
Yeah.
too.
And,
And she catches him.
No, they both jump, and Chris
Yeah.
has to catch them both
Yeah.
by himself.
Oh, poor Brad.
Well, see, after the Eiffel Tower, they he comes back up. He hits his head on
Yeah,
one of the beams or
yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and then he ends up in the hospital. Right,
Yeah,
Yep.
it shows him like in and out of consciousness here and there.
right, right.
It kind of makes you think in that one
Like
scene
he has some
too.
hallucinations.
Yeah.
That makes it
Yeah.
seem like he kind of has some hallucinations there.
And I
Is it-
thought at first when he saw her, at
Her
the
in the
hospital,
hospital, yeah, with the heart.
I assumed she might have been. I didn't put it together really. I thought
Me
maybe she was a
neither.
doctor. Is
Yeah.
what I
Yeah,
originally
see,
thought.
I
Yeah.
thought she was. I thought she was also like
She
a nurse or
sneaked it
something.
in.
Like when I was
Yeah,
younger, when I
nurse
first
or
saw it.
yeah.
yeah.
It's
But
like
then that
work
guy-
there somehow.
Yeah, that doctor comes out of the room and he was like, "Did you see a lady come through here?
Yeah, she stole my heart."
and he was like, "Oh
"Yeah, I know
no."
the feeling."
And see, that's hello Mitchell, and that's kind of also what got me, because it had these little jokes throughout
Yeah.
that I didn't really expect. But you all had seen it, so you
Yeah.
knew. But I was sitting there because I thought it was. I didn't watch a preview for it, but I did like back in the day, but it had been a long time. So I went in thinking I thought in my mind I was like, this is not what I thought. I thought it was serious. But they kept when he hits his head on the beam, I didn't expect it makes a funny sound. So it caught me by surprise and made me laugh when I wasn't expecting to laugh. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And that's from what I've read online, a lot of the reviews, that's where it throws off a lot of fans that like seen the original '81 movie and liked it a lot better. It's what
the tone's differently.
Because they're like all this comedic effect stuff is just ain't it. It's not capturing the true essence of the movie. And I'm just like I don't know what they're talking about because I haven't seen that.
Right, so you can't compare it. Yeah, but the tone works for you all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what is it about that kind of tone? Is it the tone itself, or the way they do the tone in this movie that you all like? Do you all like that tone in any movie?
Yeah,
or just the way they do it in this particular one?
Yeah, I believe it's just the silliness.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love a movie that's like supposed to be scary, but it's funny at the same time, kind of like the scary movies.
Right.
All of them. That kind of like
The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Satirical horror,
which I think is the best Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah.
I think that's the most rewatchable one in my opinion. I don't know, House of Thousands of Corpses, I can rewatch that one too, but
that is really good.
I think as a story, Devil's Rejects is a little bit better.
I believe out of
so
those, too. Yeah. You'd have to say that.
But I mean, I like all three, but I think Devil's Rejects is a little bit better.
Me too.
But this tone was. I think you're right. I think the advertisement for the movie, I'd have to go back and rewatch, would make people think that doesn't kind of have the silly, wacky humor. Mm-hmm. If they showed that in the movie trailer, people would maybe expect it and would have received it better maybe. Because once I realized that's what the movie was, I was like, this is a fun movie. Mm-hmm. Like it was really fun. Especially this one particular part, and I'll talk about it when we get to our favorite parts, but there's this one part, there's a couple different parts that had me actually laughing, and I'm like, what am I watching? It made me laugh. It really did. So what about these characters? What did you all think about these characters?
They all played their parts well. So well.
Yeah, really. And really, I like Brad a lot.
Okay.
It's really disappointing that we had to see him go so early in the movie.
Know it.
And especially the way he did.
Yeah. Now,
at least he got to hang around.
Now, Vince Villouf. Now, I looked him up because he was a name. I was like, I've seen his face in other movies. What have I seen him in?
Rat Race.
Rat Race was one of.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's the one we were talking about.
And he's also in a Little Gem. When we first started doing Real Talk as a podcast, a movie called Clay Pigeons. With Vince Vaughn and Joaquin Phoenix. Have you watched that?
I have not watched it, but I've seen it on some streaming services.
If you ever get a chance to watch it. He plays a deputy, and he's got a small role, but he's very memorable. But he quit acting in 2010. He retired from acting. And I can't remember what he does exactly, but I was very surprised to see that he had stopped acting because. He had been in quite a few things.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a good job. I mean, he played in an episode of CSI. He also played in CSI Miami. He was Wolverine in Epic movie, if you've watched that.
Oh yeah.
He's in this Harrison.
That is right.
He's in a Harrison Ford movie called Firewall. I've seen it, but I don't remember him. He's in the skating movie Grind.
Oh yeah,
Rat Race, which we said. He was in an episode of Friends. So this might be a guy who was Clay Pigeons, American Werewolf in Paris, episode of ER. 3 episodes of ER.
Too bad, then.
So this is a guy's face that if a lot of people have seen him, or a lot of people look, they'd be like, "Oh, I've seen that guy." They might not know his name, but I didn't know his name before this movie. Vince Villouf. And you said you liked Brad. That was your favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just his goofy banter, the way he cracks off jokes and just kind of jokes he tells is just kind of matches my personality.
Yeah,
that was completely.
Now I'm trying to remember. There was a scene in where was it Brad, or I'm trying to remember the one that knocks over the werewolf that's on like the hospital table and it's trying to get him.
Oh yeah, that's Chris.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't think
that's Phil Buckman.
Okay. So that scene made me laugh as well. Like when when he just started clawing toward him, and I'm thinking, why don't you just jump over the bed like as he's doing it, which he ends up doing.
Go around it.
But I don't think that's what he tries to do to begin with, or something.
He tries to go out a door, which is seemingly like
it's like
and he has to like open it with a blunt end of a fork.
Yeah.
And it's just a medicine closet.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just a medicine closet.
Serums.
So that was a fun one. And Amy, how much is she like? I liked her and I liked her character, but there's no resolve for her.
Not
As
really.
of now, she's still roaming the earth.
Yeah.
Because he didn't set her free.
No.
she's
still.
She's never mentioned again, though, is she?
Yeah, no.
Like after
that,
that,
after she's killed, you see the part where she like
pops her eye out.
Well, like he's like in the ward, like looking at Brad's body, and
Hey,
then
Nicole.
like all of a sudden, her ghost just like appears, and she's like cussing him out and this, that, and the other, and then like he starts to run, and that's when she's out in the
Almost gets
streets and
hit.
she like tries to whistle,
Yeah.
and her eye pops out, and she's like. Ah.
And I didn't expect that either. I was like, that's one of the times, and I was like, well, this is wacky in a good way. I was like, this is a wacky movie.
It is.
I like whenever he's another funny part is whenever he's like first going through his transformation the night after he got bit, and he's at Seraphine's house.
Yeah.
And she's like trying to give him, the drink that she had made for him, and he just keeps hallucinating. There's that part where like he's just like howling.
That's a good one. And there's also the scene, you've got the scene where, early on when he's trying to impress when she agrees to first go out with him in the cafe when he's chewing the gum, well, not gum, but which I saw
the
that
joke gum that his friends gave him.
Right, as his friends place a bunch of the quote gum in his front pocket. But I noticed something. There was a mistake there. They only put 2 or 3 of the condoms in his front pocket.
And then like 50
But like 15,
out.
did you all catch that? I was like, hey, they didn't put that many in there.
Yeah.
But that added to the joke because it sprang across the...
And then like as she's opening, he's just like, nope, mine, and just starts chewing, and you can literally hear the rubber between his teeth. You're like, oh.
Just imagine doing that. You're doing that in rehearsal as well. Like how many times did you have to sit there and chew that?
And just the commitment. She's like, blow me a bubble, and he's like, well, here I go. I gotta go do this, and then just the determination. He went for it, and he blew a big old bubble.
And he had a serious look on his face when he did it too, which even that was like just sealed the punchline.
Like, hey, watch this! I'm gonna blow a big bubble.
Yeah.
The bigger the bubble.
So did you all have a favorite scene or a least favorite scene?
Oh, my favorite scene, dude, would have to be whenever he's fighting with Claude at the end, and he's got that scar in his chest, and he looks at him, and he was like, no way. And then he ends up, putting him to an end.
Right.
I guess you would say.
Yep, he's met his end. Yeah. So what about you, David? Do you have a favorite? What about you? Have a least favorite scene at all? Or not really?
No, not really.
Okay.
I really enjoyed all of the movie. I'd say my favorite scene is. It's so hard because the movie to me is just so freaking good. I really like. Let me roll back here. I like the part where Chris first shows up at Seraphine's house. He's like throwing rocks at the window.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to tell Andy like get out.
Get out of there.
That was probably the funniest one for me.
Okay.
Because whenever Chris is like, dude, you gotta get out of there. He's like, this chick's got like mutants in her basement.
Right.
Dude. Like, get out of there.
That is a good scene. Now, Aaron Lee pointed out that this movie was a comedy until the very, very last scene of the movie.
Yeah.
Because that's when does he drop the ring over the statue? Is that what it is?
He goes to like try
does.
to take it out of the case. It's like it's stuck or something, and like whenever he gets it out, it like flies, and so like Seraphine and Andy are like chasing after it, and so then they just like dive off, poof.
And that's basically how the movie
started.
Yeah. So it's how it started, how it ended, and it also, if you think about it, the movie cuts from him What he transforms? What does he eat the heart, or rip the heart out of?
He
he
eats it out
transforms
of him,
because like him and Claude are like because like Claude's trying to shoot himself with that serum again.
Right.
And like Andy's like fighting him over that, and then they end up stumbling over and falling, and it stabs Andy in the chest. So he's like transforming and chasing Claude down, and like ends up finally jumping on top of him, and like as he transforms, eats his heart out.
So that makes him no longer werewolf, right?
Yeah.
Well, see,
If he
you
eats his
think
heart,
so.
yeah.
You would think that, but something tells me is that his lycanthrope abilities just did not go away because the fact that after he ate the heart, he just lets out that really long howl at the end.
I didn't think of that. Plus, he's still with Seraphine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because would he be able to be with her as just a human?
Yeah.
Highly
So
doubtful.
yeah.
No.
So that also led, if this one had done well enough financially, that they would have made another one.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think they put that in there as well.
Absolutely. Because to me, it kind of did leave on a cliffhanger because where the part Seraphine's like explaining to Andy like, I'm the one that did this to my stepfather, and he's the one that's been like inventing the serum,
right?
To try to make an antidote to suppress my lycanthrope abilities, but it ended up kicking it in without needing a full moon,
right?
And so and that's where her stepdad was important. And
for coming up with that.
Yeah,
and they stole the serums.
Yeah. Now, how much serum did the grandfather, was it the father? It was her father, right?
It was her stepfather.
Stepfather, yeah.
So how much did he make, though? Did it
there was
ever
a whole
explain?
cabinet
that
full
closet
of it.
that Chris ends up getting into whenever he's running from, transformed stepfather.
So all that's the serum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and see, that's the thing. The guy Claude we were talking about, just so we can avoid confusing the people, is actually Seraphine's ex-boyfriend that ended up stealing her blood and gaining the lycanthrope abilities himself. And
he's pretty much the main. Is he the main villain? Is that his name?
Yeah,
he's essentially the main villain.
That's what I thought.
And
because he's the one that's like, I like
Seraphine's
what's
house.
He say? He likes
That's
Americans.
the one
He's like, I love Americans.
I love Americans.
Yeah. He likes the taste of them.
Yes.
But yeah, and then so they're like, he's like got Seraphine locked up in the little jail cell in her basement, I guess, while him and his buddies are taking advantage of the serum.
The kind of way, because they pretty much had the werewolves pretty much had this party.
Yeah,
all the part that would kind of
the Lunar Night party.
It reminded me of a very, like, if you've seen the movie Blade.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So at the very beginning of Blade, the women lead that guy down into that underground rave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the blood comes coming down. Yep. So this was kind of like, people were leading these college kids into this thing with the werewolves to try,
to their doom.
Yeah. And I love the way that they actually use the catacombs and the underground and all the stuff you were talking about as well, because that'd be cool to see. And they use that quite a bit in this movie for like chase scenes.
Yeah.
Quite a few chase scenes.
Oh yeah, it's here. It's like right after Claude and his Goonies end up, I guess, kidnapping Andy from Seraphine's place. That's where they took him, was to that theater or the theater.
Yeah.
And show him where they had Chris tied up to try to get him to like cut Chris's heart out and eat it. And then that's whenever
that was a good scene. That was actually a good scene. Because I was wondering how is he going to get out of this, because I wasn't sure exactly what he was going to do.
Whenever they dropped that gargoyle from the top of the tower down onto the.
That's towards the end of the movie, I believe.
It is. It's right at the end. Yeah.
But no. Let's see here. What gets him out of it, though, I believe, is once he picks that knife up, he starts swinging it at him. I think Seraphine ends up showing up, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
My bad.
I do
I
think
was at
so.
the wrong part of the movie.
Because he's kind of in a situation similar to that twice, isn't he?
Yeah.
Similar, not exactly.
He gets like so many lucky breaks in this movie,
Yeah.
dude. It's insane.
So what did you all think about? You mentioned earlier a little bit of the soundtrack.
Oh man.
What did you all think about that? Now you all can't hear it because you don't have headphones on, but it is playing.
The soundtrack definitely went very well with the movie. I don't remember a lot of the artists. I don't remember them being, really two very big artists. I believe there was a couple on the soundtrack.
Yeah, there were a couple big ones, but not most weren't.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest ones. You've got Skinny Puppy, you got Fastball, you got Cake, you've got Bush.
Yeah,
And,
that's definitely one.
That's the biggest 4 that I see. Better Than Ezra, The Refreshments. Let's see what else we got here.
Very like 90s
Like it definitely met
punk glam,
the
something
grunge.
like that. Yeah,
Very, very grungy.
Yeah.
But it really matched the tone of the movie.
It
too.
did. And that's one thing that I want.
those guys look like they would play in a punk grunge
because a lot of the
band,
music really did fit in, especially when the werewolves really kicked in, and then you would have this music playing. I thought it fit. Well, because what other kind of music would you?
Should have had some Head PE in there. Like back then, Head PE was about the heaviest thing you was going to hear.
That would have probably worked really well with that.
I really think it would have. Like the rock rap, dude. That's in that time, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Korn.
Gosh, yeah, Korn. New metal, I think they call it.
Yeah. Now, what did you all think about the originality of the film? Thought it was pretty original?
I don't think you
Oh,
could
well, see,
get
again,
any better.
has been someone, it was supposed to have been, I guess, the continuance to the 81 film, and from what I was reading on the reviews, wasn't really capturing no originality from what I'd been reading.
See,
but to
From
me,
the film, it was supposed to have been.
But from what I seen, the film that I seen, grew up with what I just watched the other night. Like it just, I would say yes. There's a bit of a essence of originality to it, in the sense like the transformations.
and there's not that many werewolf movies, are there?
No, there's really not.
Not really, man.
There was one called Wolf with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. Then you have the Benicio del Toro one that came out mid 2015 or something?
Yeah.
Maybe 2010.
And then that teenage werewolf, Teen Wolf, yeah.
Oh
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Teen Wolf. You have 2 of those. And then there was a TV show of that. And then you've got werewolves. Probably don't they make an appearance in Twilight somehow? Werewolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Which doesn't really count as a
Edwards.
werewolf movie, but there's not that many. Maybe a werewolf was in what Van Helsing,
Yeah, in a couple.
but it's
parts,
not really
but-
a werewolf
yeah.
movie.
No,
from
it's
what I
not.
recall.
It's
Well, I've only
vampires,
seen
yeah.
Underworld. Would you
Yeah.
get that as
Yeah,
well?
Lycans.
I forgot about it.
Well, I mean, it's vampires and
Yeah.
werewolves.
Yeah, so that's really about the only modern one. I mean,
Yeah.
when was the last one?
Oh man, probably
Let me
12.
look that
I mean,
up.
there's not been a-
years
Because I
ago.
love the Underworld movies. I
Yeah,
watched
so
them
that's
all.
probably the most recent.
Rise of the Lycans.
So
Was
what,
that the last one?
2015, 16 maybe?
Somewhere around there. Rise of the Lycans might not have been the last one, honestly.
Blood Wars,
Blood
2016.
Okay,
16.
so that's been
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's 8 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That is crazy.
Makes me feel old.
And we touched on the poster earlier. I thought it was a good poster.
Yeah.
I thought it. I don't know if it presented the movie 100% because it seemed serious. The poster, but I don't know how other poster they would have made it. I think it's a good poster. I like it.
Yeah, I did too.
I like the colors on it. I thought it was good. Like you've got the moon, you've got the Eiffel Tower in it. I think. Let's
Yeah.
see. You've got
You got
you got him in the front. Or she's kind of below.
It's funny.
got some
My mom's actually the one that got me into this movie. Growing, she had ended up getting on VCR growing up, and that's how I ended up that's how I ended up with it, and just taking it everywhere I went. And whenever I took it to my grandparents' house, they ended up. They didn't like me watching stuff like that whenever I was little.
Oh, stuff like this?
I'm
Yeah.
5 years old carrying.
Oh
around,
yeah. Oh yeah. So this.
Yeah.
So you're 5 when you first see this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how old were you, Jeremiah, when you
Dude,
see
I
it?
don't know,
4 or
4.
5?
4, I
Okay.
guess, because he's
Okay.
Yeah.
like a year and a half older than you,
Okay.
basically.
But and my grandparents they finally started catching on, and whenever they would see that paperback blue VHS case. You know, they're like, nope. And they confiscated it from me the moment I'd walk through the door. So like,
so the VHS case you had was exactly that poster.
So I did. I learned to start carrying it in like one of my children's movie cases. Of, like,
that's such a
Balto
great story.
Or like, Land Before Time.
So you put the VHS in the Land Before Time case.
Dude.
You take it to your grandparents'
David
house
was
to watch
smart,
it.
man. I'm telling you, this kid could get away with anything.
I'd have to wait until they were like both busy doing something, and I could get on the TV. I had to wait for TV time, which was usually whenever they were busy working doing something.
Did you ever have like watching it and then they saw what you're watching and cut it out?
Plenty of times.
Took it out.
Times, yeah.
What would they say?
Drop the remote.
David, what would Jesus do?
And that's how they would tell you not to watch the werewolf movie?
Yeah. Jesus wouldn't be too happy with me watching that stuff.
Man, it's willful sin, and you know what I mean? If you think it's wrong, don't do it. If you don't think it's wrong,
well,
no, the
man,
straw that broke the camel's back for them though was basketball.
Oh well,
that's a little.
Yeah.
that one's a little.
That's a little, especially if you're. Are you still 5 years old when watching that?
Yeah.
Okay, that one might be a little. I would say this one before
you shouldn't
basketball.
be watching Family Guy at 5 years old.
Yeah,
That's basically what you're watching.
Yeah.
South Park.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I like the poster, and then I'm guessing you all, Jeremiah, why would you recommend this to some of the audience that haven't seen it?
Man, because like you don't see these guys in any movies really, any big movies, couple shows here and there, man. Like someone that can, play in a movie like this that was supposed to be short budget and ended up not too bad, I guess, but.
We didn't even really get into that, did we? The budget stuff. I accidentally skipped that, didn't I?
It wasn't bad, not horrible at all.
Now it
but
did make money. And when I put the gross on here, that doesn't even count.
1.5 million.
That doesn't really count the VHS or DVDs or Blu-ray.
They're still getting sales from it.
But now, although Rotten Tomatoes wasn't technically around when this came out, they've taken the reviews from then, calculated by now, and I was surprised only 7%.
I don't understand that, man.
That really surprised me. This has been, honestly, this was the lowest rated Rotten Tomatoes movie that we've done
ever
on the show.
I don't
I
understand it. We've done worse
blows
movies
my mind
than that.
like, this is absolutely a movie that, like, if you're a couple that likes to watch scary movies together, like, get together on the couch and just have something that you can cuddle up to and it's going to actually have you grasping onto each other. This is one of those movies. It really is. This
was a movie that I found. So David, how would you recommend this to someone that's not seen it? What are some selling points from you?
I mean, literally just anything you could look for, and like, it's got all the jump scares in it that you could really ask for. It really does have the comedic element to it, but like, it does. It has a lot of jump scares where it will absolutely have one or the other, if not both, grasping each other. Like, oh Jesus, just absolutely will. I watched the other night, had me jumping still.
So how many times did you say that you all had that you thought you'd watch this movie? You said you watched it like 4 or 5 times a day when you were a kid sometimes?
Yeah.
So probably 100 or more.
For at least a good year straight, every day.
So this would be one of your favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Hands down.
I love that. I love the story that. So now everyone knows that they can that you've got that great memory attached to it, plus all these things that you.
This was our childhood. This was like, picture it, man. Like, you wake up in 1999, man. You're playing your Nintendo 64, your Super Nintendo, and your after you get bored with it, you're popping your favorite movie in. This was our favorite movie, dude. After we got done playing our games, Frogger, whatever, dude. We had so many game systems, man. We were lucky when we were kids,
right?
Before they started getting too expensive,
right?
But dude, we would. After we got done, man, it was American Werewolf in Paris, dude. What was that other
like
one
I
we
mentioned
watched a
earlier,
lot?
basketball, but
Freddie got fingered, basketball.
Freddie got fingered wasn't until like 2000s, but like
Yeah.
if we're talking about 1999s, it's more like ball toe and
Yeah.
the American Tail.
Oh, don't pull
Babe.
my heartstrings, bro. Them are sad movies.
Well, we're gonna.
Sandlot and stuff,
Aaron's
dude.
promised to come back. He's gonna come back. We might do it in December, and he's gonna do a tear jerker of a movie called The Notebook. Remember that?
dude. Yeah.
Because he'd made a vow. He said he made a vow with some friends never to have watched it, and he's the only one that's kept that vow so far.
Okay.
So he's gonna. And I've only watched the Notebook
Wow.
once, and I did say
Me too,
that
bro.
my eyes were.
I have watched
my
it a
throat
lot.
got a
I
knot
did
in
cry
it, man.
a little bit, a few tears.
I didn't cry, but my throat got a knot in it. I should have, I guess, but.
So yeah, I would say American Werewolf in Paris. It is on
Tubi.
Tubi, and Tubi. Oh my God, Tubi has over 200,000 movies on there.
Yeah, I was literally
Crazy,
just after I
man.
watched American Werewolf in Paris last night. I was literally just going through to see what I could find. And
I scrolled for 30
I found
minutes.
all kinds of like old movies from I found a couple of good ones from like whenever I was a teenager that I hadn't seen in a really long time that I went ahead and just watched even though I was supposed to be getting in bed.
I mean, that's what I mean. No joke. I downloaded the Tubi app just to scroll through to see what they had. So when I
my
get home
God.
at night, I'd be like, okay, I don't have to spend 45 minutes.
No kidding.
Because everything is like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that movie. Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that. And they have like
Yep.
so many great categories too. Cult favorites, 80s, 90s,
Oh,
and then they're
yeah.
like, obviously comedy, drama, all that stuff. But they've got some movies that I'd forgotten about, and I'm like, you can't find anywhere. So Tubi's where to go as well.
Yeah, man.
Next week, by request, I think we're going to get into the movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez.
Enough.
And then after that, we're going to start October, and then we're going to get into some horror movies.
Oh yeah.
And then I think
That's
when
my
we do
favorite
Evil Dead
time
1
of
and
the
2,
year.
we'll do it the same night,
Okay.
the same show. So we'll do like a double one of. We'll have Aaron Lee back
Double
in.
feature.
Yeah. Because
That's
we
nice.
actually, I don't know why I chose to, but we did Army of Darkness. So here's what it was. Army of Darkness, and I thought I had it on DVD, but I that's the only one I didn't have. So I rented it, and then a few days later, when the month changed over, it was like on Amazon, and I was like, oh, I just rented that like 3 days ago. And then I let it expire, so I had to watch the end of it on YouTube anyway, because I didn't get to finish it because it had expired. Because once you start it, you only get like 48 hours or something until it runs out.
Yeah.
And then the other day, my card had ran out on everything, so I was trying to watch. What did we watch last week? Oh, The Fan.
The Fan.
So I was like, well,
yeah.
I tried to hook up my something else so me and Jeremiah could watch The Fan because I couldn't find it anywhere for free.
Fandango.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to send Jared, but it took you to I sent you Voodoo, but it took you to Fandango.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
this big thing. So we do a lot to get the movies to you all.
Hey, that's how I got to watch this movie, dude. Again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was on there for free with ads. I had to watch about 27 minutes worth of ads.
I know.
So
There's like 3 or 4 ads, and they're all
Yeah.
like at least a minute.
Oh,
it
it's-
seems.
See, that
It's
was wild. I
crazy,
had to
dude.
watch like a 2-minute ad segment at the beginning of the movie, and then I got
Me.
to watch it all the way through.
The same ads almost.
what?
And I didn't have to watch a single ad after that.
Oh, you
See,
did?
My
No,
first
just a
one
2-minute
was like,
ad segment at
Huh.
the beginning of the movie, like before it started, and then the whole movie I got to watch all the way through.
that's so
The way
weird.
that's the way movies are meant to be made. So if they do put commercials,
Yeah.
it should be before the movie starts and at the end.
Yep.
Because when you make a movie, you make it to be watched all the way through.
Exactly,
Not
dude.
not go to commercial when somebody's about to stab somebody.
Yeah.
Or the
Like,
jump
why do you
scare
wanna
happens
do
or
that?
something.
Exactly.
Or during the punchline.
And
Doesn't
if you,
make
if you
sense.
notice some streaming platforms that actually do that, they actually don't cut they don't stop the movie. It'll actually cut. It'll just like cut from the scene and it'll continue.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like a 30-second timer. It'll continue back 30 seconds later into the show or movie that you're watching. I've had that happen on a couple of streaming platforms.
Yeah, Aaron was even saying that Tubi is the best platform for horror movies too. And there's a
Okay.
lot on there. I think I even saw Devil's Rejects on there. Maybe that's where I saw. And there's one category that just says movies that are available on Tubi. And I might actually look into getting our short film on Tubi. I don't know if they put short films on there, but I can check it out.
You
and
can
see.
figure it out, dude.
Yeah, might as well.
Heck
So
yeah,
it's been a fun show, guys. Thank you all for joining. We've had a lot of internet interaction, and thanks to all the audience out there. Stay tuned as we're going to join and start the Other People show in just a moment on 92.5 WLSD The Vault.